It started with a flicker. Graham had been living alone for 3 years in a modest 2-bedroom townhouse on the outskirts of Portland. He'd gotten used to the silence, to the settling of the walls and the hum of appliances, to the way shadows danced in the evenings when headlights passed outside. But this was different. It was a Tuesday night when he first saw it. He had been watching TV, bowl of half-eaten ramen on the coffee table, feet propped up, the opening credits of some crime drama glowing on the screen. Then, just at the edge of his vision, something moved. A flick, a blur of motion, a darting shape, dark, swift. He turned. Nothing. He chuckled nervously. All right, eyes. Easy with the tricks. He resumed watching, but the show didn't hold him. He kept glancing toward the hallway, convinced he'd seen something pass by. But every time he looked directly, there was nothing there, only the long corridor, doors shut. That night, something scraped under the bed. He froze in the middle of turning over. The sound was faint, like fingernails dragging across carpet. Then silence. Heart thudding, he leaned over the edge of the bed and peered underneath. Nothing but darkness and the faint outline of boxes he hadn't opened since moving in. Still, he slept with the lamp on. A week passed. Graham's nights became riddled with unease. The flickers of movement continued, always in the periphery. At first, he thought it might be a mouse or a raccoon that had gotten into the walls. But it didn't explain the whispers. They began softly. Barely audible. He'd be brushing his teeth or washing dishes when he'd hear it, a mutter, almost a sigh, coming from behind him. He'd spin around, breath catching, but there was no one there. One night, as he passed the guest bedroom, the door slowly creaked open on its own. He stood still. No draft. No windows open. No explanation. He closed the door, heart pounding. Minutes later, it creaked open again. Graham avoided the guest room after that. Something about it felt off, cold, heavier than the rest of the house. Sometimes he swore he heard breathing coming from under the bed in there. Not his own bed, that bed. A low, slow wheeze. Like something waiting. One morning, groggy and angry at himself for losing sleep, he stormed into the room with a flashlight, dropped to the floor, and looked under the bed. There was something there. A black shape, curled and motionless. Human-like, but not human. Too long. Its face, or what might have been a face, turned slowly toward him, 2 pinpricks of gleaming red buried in shadow. Graham fell back, scrambled out of the room, and slammed the door shut. His heart was going to give out. No way. No chance that was real. He paced for hours, trying to rationalize it, dream, trick of the light, some psychological break. But he knew. Desperate, he called his old friend Sean. Sean was a grounded guy, practical, rarely ruffled. Graham figured if he experienced any of this, it would either confirm Graham wasn't losing his mind or give him permission to check himself in. Sean agreed to come by for the weekend. Friday night, they drank beer and played video games. Graham tried to keep it light. But by 10 p.m. the hallway shadows deepened, and Graham saw it again, a swift, tall silhouette darting across the end of the hall. He flinched. Did you see that? Sean paused the game. See what? There was, someone just walked by. Sean smirked. You sure you haven't been drinking all week? But as they settled into sleep, things got worse. The whispers started up again, soft, coaxing murmurs coming from the walls. Sean sat up in the guest room. Dude, he called, voice muffled through the wall, do you have someone else here? No. Graham yelled back, his voice cracking. You hear it too, right? Silence. The next morning, Sean looked tired but brushed it off. Old houses. You need to get out more, man. Graham stared at him. You heard something. I know you did. Sean wouldn't meet his eyes. You're letting this place get to you. Sean left Sunday afternoon. As soon as the door shut behind him, the house seemed to breathe. Walls groaned. Floorboards flexed. Something deep within shifted, like the place had been holding its breath and was finally exhaling. That night, things moved. The chair in the living room slowly rotated while Graham watched TV. The picture frame of his parents tilted sideways. The hallway light flickered and died. And under the bed, he heard scratching. Fast. Rhythmic. As if something was writing on the wood. He gathered the courage to crawl beneath it again, flashlight in hand. Nothing. Except the words scrawled into the wood beneath the mattress, "You can't see me when you look." Over the following week, Graham stopped going to work. He stopped shaving. He rarely ate. He kept every light on in the house. He set up cameras, motion detectors, even downloaded ghost hunting apps. The cameras captured nothing. But he kept hearing it, scraping, whispering, skittering footsteps. A voice that said his name in the dark. And worse, now, were the dreams. In them, he was crawling through the walls, naked and bleeding, something behind him whispering faster and faster until it crescendoed into laughter. Always the same shape. Always those red eyes. He woke up with bruises. Long, finger-shaped marks on his calves and forearms. No one believed him. He called Sean again. Left voicemails. "Please come back. Please just see it." Sean returned, reluctantly. This time, Graham took him to the guest room first. "I need you to go in. Shut the door. Lie on the bed. Just listen," Sean humored him. 30 minutes passed. No sound. Then, as Graham stood in the hall, he heard Sean scream. The door flew open. Sean stumbled out, pale and shaking. He looked Graham in the eye, and for a moment, Graham thought he was going to confirm everything. But then Sean said, "It was nothing. I just fell asleep. Weird dream." Graham stared at him. "You saw it. I heard you scream." Sean shook his head. I think you need help, Graham." Graham's voice dropped. "You're lying. Why won't you admit it?" Sean avoided his gaze. "There's nothing here." And he left. Again. Now the things weren't just in the corners. They were everywhere. Crawling across the ceiling while Graham blinked. Standing in mirrors just after he looked away. Whispering under the floorboards. One night, his bedroom light exploded. Glass rained down. He ran into the hallway, and every door in the house slammed shut in unison. He collapsed in the corner, weeping. "What do you want?" From under the floorboards, something answered, "You. You see US now." June 12, Graham set up every camera he owned. Wrote a letter. Lit candles in every room. Then he sat in the guest room, facing the mirror. At midnight, the room dimmed. In the mirror, a shape grew. Taller. Broader. Red eyes gleaming. He couldn't move. The thing whispered, "Come closer." He couldn't scream. It reached through the mirror, its hand long and jointed and black like burned bone. The cameras recorded static. In the morning, his house was empty. Sean returned 1 month later. Graham hadn't answered his calls. The house was silent. Dust covered every surface. Dishes still in the sink. A strange, burnt smell lingering in the halls. Sean walked into the guest room. The mirror was broken. On the wall, carved deep into the plaster, was a message, "You see it too." Behind him, a floorboard creaked. Sean turned. Nothing. But just at the edge of his vision, something moved.